Machi Esports and PSG Talon. Machi, one Nexus away from claiming the crown of summer. PSG Talon, it's a long night already, but they're making it, they want to aim to make it a little bit longer and try and pull off a reverse sweep. We'll see what happens as we go ahead and load on into the Rift for Game 3 of our Grand Final.
Oh man, we're in Game 3 as you said, and suddenly I don't mind if we go to a Game 5 because I am feeling it. Chowie is joining us again here for some post-champ select insights. Chowie, we're seeing the Zoe and the Orianna. Oh yeah, we saw this draft quite a while ago, but yeah, we saw this draft. We did talk about the compositions back then, of course, but with PSG drafting for more of a top-side focus now, what are your thoughts, Chowie?
I think this game will be very, very different from how Game 1 and Game 2 went. I doubt River will be playing in Gemini's jungle anymore. If he does that, he's just really disrespecting Gemini. And I feel that this game, Mission will start to get early prio even from the early game compared to the previous game where he had to wait until the first item to get prio. And right now we already see Machi taking the first move. Now it's their turn to come into the jungle.
Yeah, we already see here Machi are the ones that are going to go ahead and get themselves in on this invade. That ward, though, does give a little bit of information, at least over there to River, but vice versa, so it's just going to be a trade of that top side to the bot side jungle.
Feels like we see this every time we see a Lilia, though, with Renekton just playing exclusively for topside, having her solo lane shove like no tomorrow, and then a contest on the enemy topside buff.
Wow.
I like it, but at the same time, it is very, very telegraphed. Bot lane trades certainly telegraph themselves, but not gonna slow down.
This is rather aggressive coming out here as Koala's going to flash on forward. That's a beautiful cleanse by Bruce, but he's a little bit too close to the action, able to get the flash off. Unified, though, maybe getting a little bit too comfortable himself because now guess who's come on down? It's Gemini going to flash forward underneath the tower, and that's going to be first blood. And poor Unified, he's left out to dry. And you know what's about to happen. Koala just going to step up, gets that dredge line, and it's a double kill for Gemini to open things off. You saw the Machi support staff looking pretty happy at this point, and
Yeah.
it is looking a bit doomed.
Yeah,
No,
actually,
I can only say PSG bot lane played really bad here. They had the advantage, and we know there is a jungle swap. So having a jungle swap is actually very, very good for Talon. Because Renekton and Lilia, you want to play top side. And this gives the Volibear a lot of pressure. And you already won your bot side, you have a trash to prevent the Graves gank. And then you went to commit into a fight when your jungle is top side and their jungle is bot side. So this is a grave mistake that could have eventually cost them this game.
exactly that, and I just really like the fact Unified held his fourth shot anyway, just in case Bruce walked into flash range. Unfortunately, wasn't quite the case, and yeah, PSG, they overcommit. Even after, you know, this lane swap scenario got PK into a kind of disadvantageous situation where he was winning the Volibear Renekton matchup from draft alone, and they kind of throw all of that kind of tempo that Hanabi and River were getting for themselves out of the picture with a complete fumble.
Yeah.
Here we have another Gemini leading the game again.
Ugh.
Third game in a row.
Well, this time around, too, we didn't really get to touch on this. This is actually going to be a matchup that Tank opted to go into, actually. He's the one that said, I'm going to go ahead and take the Zoe, which, again, has been one of those main pickups for Mission that we saw during a majority of the regular season, and actually not getting two half-bad trades as River, once again, just going to go ahead and take away that Raptor camp and then transition immediately into the topside scuttle. So again, just splitting the map down the middle and just committing toward this top side. This really requires River to have to play up through Hanabi, but will PSG actually be able to perform that as Gemini is going to show himself bot lane once again? This time, though, PSG a little bit smart to the situation as they did have a ward down.
Yeah, definitely need to see them commit to a three-man dive top if possible, and yeah, it feels like they're roaming towards bot right now.
Double Drowsy, that's going to be the combo immediately on in, and Koala's going to get caught out here within the jungle, and Unified gets himself on the board with the first kill for PSG.
This is very good play from PSG mid jungle because if we see bot lane, Bruce is actually pulling the lane. It's a very, very huge wave. So if there's no help for the PSG bot lane, they are going to just lose 2 waves, 3 waves. All the waves, they're going to lose the CS, lose the goal, everything. But this play from River, moving to mid, bringing tank to the bot side to help release the pressure for bot side, brought them back to the game.
So with that now, first 5 minutes off the board, so we'll see if Machi, how they look to respond. River is down here in case Machi get a little bit too aggressive. Gemini is going to show. In comes that Descends, and immediately Ignite goes down onto Koala, and he's just going to get washed out immediately as River finds himself his first kill. And now PSG able to rotate this Lilia down toward the bot side of the map with a good counter gank, and again, getting gold in onto Unified.
Yeah, Nautilus without being able to proc Aftershock at this point, essentially a melee Soraka. Just burn him. Yep, easy. That's it. No Aftershock proc because he's an auto attack. Queued away. All of that just out of the window there as Koala gets shut down.
So there you are. It's going to be a nice pickup there by River as Charlie's going to go ahead and join us back after the post game. As now kind of even 2-2 overall. Gold going to be dead even down the middle as well at 10K. I'm still a little bit scared of Briz. PSG, they've been able to kind of recover, but this was very much a game that we expected them to at least get the ball rolling, especially if they wanted to go with this Lilia pick. And it kind of looks like Hanabi is just going to be opting immediately, picks up the Ninja tab. He's not really the best kind of back you're looking for, especially on this Renekton, and kind of signals that we aren't going to be seeing him play that aggressively, and maybe we just don't see River up here at all.
Honestly, not too terrible though, because it means there's no kill pressure being pumped out by that Graves. Fury management there was weird for me on the Renekton. That was just micro error. You saw Hanabi actually commit without the W in Rage prop, so it didn't strip any shield from the Volibear. It didn't extra heal for the Q. Instead, the E was the thing that consumed the Renekton passive, and that meant that the armor was shredded from PK. But because he used that to disengage, he couldn't take advantage of the armor trade, waste that part of his kit, and pretty much just signs himself up to lose out on that trade.
So now we take a look. It's going to be our first dragon of the game. Going to be that Infernal Drake. So we'll see if PSG just want to go ahead and get some pressure. Again, River just kind of occupying toward the bot side of the map. And it's kind of what Charlie kind of wanted to see, at least from PSG. The fact that they have been able to now kind of switch sides as far as the Rift goes allows River to stay toward the bot side alongside Unified, where you have Kaiwing looking for plays. River, though, himself might get caught out here. Does have that level 6, but unfortunately can't do a whole lot there as Gemini is able to get that quick trade off. Of course, with that phase rush, can just go back into the jungle. And with that River being chunked out, kind of has to decide whether or not he wants to go back. Actually has been able to regen quite nicely. Did have that refillable, and maybe even looking for a play here as Tank's just going to go on forward. Lands the bubble. Can they pair this up into the seedling? Is going to connect. Decent amount of damage from Tank. The mission should be able to survive as Gemini and Koala are looking for a roam. Kaiwing, though, on the answer, Descend's not going to connect.
Yeah, the double sleep mid-jungle duo from PSG, it's like they're taunting Machi at this point, saying, go to sleep. But not quite the case here, as Mission can walk away from it. Looking at state of the game right now, not too terrible. Kind of wish the Lilia got rolling a little bit harder. Granted, 1-0-1 successful counter gank is fantastic. And now we start to see both teams posture for an early Infernal Drake. Needed that first recall for the Orianna to complete. TP's back into mid, beautiful. Zoe going to follow up from that fairly sharpish. And then we should see both teams collide pretty much in the next 30 seconds or so.
For me, though, I feel like Machi this time around, almost everyone outside of Gemini can actually engage onto a fight. PK can also just go in for that Stormbringer. You got the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Bruce, as well as Koala once again onto this. Nautilus is going to get hooked out once again into a quick combo from the
River's here.
Here is River. That is going to be instantly the arrow popped by Bruce, and now can Unified thread the needle. Tries to go for it. Isn't going to connect, though, as collateral damage also almost takes down Kaiwing. And it's just going to be a trade of summoners from the looks like on both of these supports. Meanwhile, top lane, Hanabi getting rather aggressive, but DK on this Volibear pretty much just neutralizes this Renekton.
Yeah, both of these melee lane bullies kind of just trade blow for blow, wait for jungler interference, and it's all good there. Renekton getting outscaled, not getting played through. Really the reason why we hate to see this pick, why it's so notorious globally, is because teams draft it and then don't play through it. You leave him hanging out to dry, he becomes a less efficient meat shield for your carries in the team fights. He can't split push, he gets held down, and suddenly this is not an appealing game to play for Hanabi at all. I do want to touch on Lilia plus Zoe. Their siege is good, their long range damage and engage is good, but if it ever comes down to a 5v5, Machi again with the far superior composition.
Well, we do see there, Koala just going to get tagged out. His tank also just picking up a GLP from one of the minions, able to get a nice little combo there. Koala down to about half health. Looking for the seed from River, not actually going to connect. Gemini still sits about a level down, but showing that Lilia on the top side of the map has pretty much given the go signal for Machi to go ahead and try and secure this first grade.
Essentially trading Drake for Herald #1 at this point is absolutely fine. Issue being that that tier 1 turret is very valuable to the Zoe Jhin composition, Thresh as well. You can more aggressively fish for picks once you've cracked that open and you take Orianna out of her comfort zone, out of that prolonged lane phase, and you really do roughhouse the Machi carries when it comes to forcing them to follow you around the map. In a straight 5v5, sure, Machi's comp is fantastic, but if they're behind on the play, PSG can lead them on a very rewardless wild goose chase.
You see there, River with Shelly in hand, looking to just try and feed turret plates likely into Unified here off this push, as well as get that quick little invade out. And there you go. So PSG, with an idea in mind, are going to be able to crash in onto this tower. It does look like they'll also get themselves first brick gold. Hanabi may need to be careful himself. Arrow is up and available for Bruce, but there you go, Unified. Going to be pretty happy now on this Jhin, getting that solo first turret gold shared with River.
Yeah, 5th Blood King almost making his appearance here as Hanabi feels the dive coming. Good read from him, just back off that, honestly. I appreciate it. While the rest of his team does a lot of work top. Of course, the team with the Herald pushes slightly faster than the other, regardless of the fact that Gemini is effectively a second marksman here. I want to look at mid though, because with seeing the scaling matchup come through, I will always give the Orianna team the edge in this scenario, because Zoe, when even or behind, is not quite as oppressive as we've been led to believe.
And on top of that too, Tank, if he wants to get kind of that multi-target damage, it really requires everyone to be grouped up on a pretty much long-range battle star, which can happen, but I would say Mission's ultimate a little bit more consistent when it's going to chunk out members, especially too, providing multiple target CC versus a bubble of Tank.
Yeah, definitely do look at that single target pick potential to really come through from PSG. Bubble, sleep, hook, Jhin snare, it's all good, but at the same time, Machi, they can steamroll a 5v5 if it does occur.
You see though, Machi may be looking to set up here for a play in toward the mid lane. Tank though, rather comfortable with River nearby. Mission able to avoid the seedling there from River, so all is well. Also to note, Unified has finished off his boots actually on the upgrade. Now looking to a little bit of a split build, as again, maybe going to go for that Storm Razor. It seems here on toward his first back, still a little bit unsure. Well, it kind of looks like we're going to get ourselves a little bit of a lull here until probably 2 minutes time once we actually have our second Drake. Never mind, Caster Curse as Bruce wants to go for the play. Death Sentence is going to land. In comes Tank or Hanabi on a teleport itself. It's going to be a double teleport actually, as they do respond with all 5 members in toward this bot lane. In comes that Stormbringer from PK. Current Call going to be used, and now PK has to soak up the damage. 4-shot connects, but somehow no members fall, but River able to respond.
Mission.
It's going to be Mission caught out. Watch out, Eve comes out a little bit too early, able to sidestep away from the shockwave. And now River looking to hunt down the Orianna. And PSG able to find the fight on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, that magic damage Darius Q from the Lilia does ring true. The edge connects onto Mission, knocks down the Orianna, and she's late to the party. Mission had TP, and yet it didn't get used. Can't find his way into this fight, can't really do much of anything. Okay, TP was just still on cooldown ever so slightly. Zoe with the Starbuck, of course, has the slightly lower CDR when it comes to accessing the inspiration tree. So it does mean this was actually a very, very good play. 5 PSG to utilize their slight teleport advantage.
Yeah,
5 PSG, 2 members, 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 2
It's a little bit unfortunate there. You see such low health bars that PSG are only able to walk away with the one kill. Maybe would have wanted to try and get an extra kill there to unify, but at the very least, they are able to find the shutdown over on Mission. Mission, unfortunately, just not in the best path himself. Gets caught out there by River with a good rotation to counter gank, and there you are. PSG currently with the lead by about 1,000 gold.
Yeah, big blue side swing right now. Probably the most linear gold graph we have seen all series long. And honestly, if PSG can continue to grow this, Zoe snowballs exceptionally well. Lilia snowballs exceptionally well. The only thing is, Hanabi on this early game dominant pick that we said they'd need to play through has nothing to his name right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the curse of the PCS Renekton appears to continue all the way into our finals. As Hanabi, again, I don't understand this draft and why they keep doing it. I don't understand that either from Tank. As he just gets caught out there way too far forward, gets the flash out. PK is just going to find his quick kill, and that costs PSG massively, as now another member going to get taken on down. Unified force to flash away. Bruce flashing on forward, gets the volley to connect. In comes the lightning from the volley bear. Hanabi nearby, but now PSG, 5 members of Machi, looking at this very weak Jhin. Hanabi pops the Dominus, trying to do what he can. Death Sentence not going to connect as the cleanse is used immediately there by Bruce. And now PSG, they're open for the best. PK, he just shuts down the Jhin instantly. The Kern Call gets put down over onto PSG's grave. It's a triple kill for the Volley Bear.
The Volley Bear with the ultimate. Instant committal, instant punishment, and complete cleanup of PSG. Hanabi lit up like a firework by this Stormbringer in the top lane. Machi, they had no Ori ult there, they had no Nautilus ult there, they had no problem there after already cleaning up a fair amount of PSG's threat.
And it comes back to, again, River and Tank getting caught out off that mid lane play that ends up costing Machi, ends up costing PSG dearly at this point. As then PSG, they decide, we gotta try and make a stand here underneath the tower. Unified has barely any health, pops the Kern Call, PK's just like, I'm gonna just ult you instead.
Koala is looking like Kaiwing this game. Yeah, that was just a dunk. 100%, even knocked out the tower. For good measure as well. Really, really clean. Clean ace. Clean ace. 5-0 in favor of Machi there. And that was off of a PSG lead. That was a pick they opted into. That was a play they wanted to make. And yet you're seeing what happens when you get on top of a Zoe. You're seeing what happens when you get on top of a Lilia, on top of a Jhin. These siege, long range, conditional engage, conditional committal champions, when you fight them on your terms rather than their own, they just melt.
So with that, PSG still able to get a little bit of objective control in their favor as they pick up the second Rift Herald of the game. Second Dragon, though, went on over to Machi, and we are looking at a Mountain Soul that if Machi are able to get, PK going to be damn hard to kill on this Volley Bear. So we'll see how PSG try and respond here. Have to start slowing the bleed that Machi has been able to expose here. As PSG still facing down the possibility at getting 3-0'd by Machi, the regional rivalry that has gone to Game 5. Every playoff series these two organizations have played against one another. That tradition could easily be broken here if Machi can seal the deal in Game 3.
Yeah, PK though, unfortunately this game, Geminitis, as he does build full tank despite having 4 kills to his name and a lot of farm. This is not necessarily the play. Show me your trifles, please. But at the same time, it's okay. He's unkillable. He was already unkillable, but now he's even more unkillable. And it means he's more than just a mild inconvenience once he connects.
Unfortunately, PSG, that's a big Volley Bear, and PK able to rotate on over alongside Machi. Let's see, though, Kern Call going to be used. And then Hanabi, he's the front line. But he just gets shredded down into a purse once more. Gemini almost gets taken down by Tank. But now we see the issue with PSG. It happened in Game 2. There is no front line that can deal with PK.
Koala as well, making Kaiwing look like Koala. Honestly, the difference between these two supports this game has been insane, and it's in completely the opposite direction to what we were expecting. We had lofty expectations of PSG as a whole, no doubt through their big playmaker on his signature champ in the bottom lane, and yet time and time again, it has been Koala threading these hooks, finding these engages, Gemini on his signature Graves, everything going by way of Machi right now, partially due to PSG's insistence in throwing.
And it comes back what looks to be a possible play, but it ought to be at that point. Just go back to your team. Maybe you can possibly survive. Maybe get an extra flash for them trying to kill you off, but tries to go into the back line, but immediately just gets melted down. And now we are starting to see, again, this issue with PSG when it comes to their drafts. We want to play through Hanabi. Well, you don't play through damn Hanabi. You haven't proved it all year. And to think you're going to change now in the grand final is something that just continually just makes me angry with PSG and their drafting style.
And this has been one of the fastest 20 minutes of League of Legends I have ever experienced. We're already past the point of Baron spawning, we're into the mid-game, we're into that point where Machi can explode the game off of a single shockwave, as we saw in game number 2, and arguably in game number 1 too, but game number 2's ending was a heartbreaker for PSG, much like getting 3-0'd by their biggest rivals in the region would be now.
So for PSG, a little bit of a reset here, an opportunity. They do actually control the bot side of the map, so for them, they can look at delaying Mountain Soul as a possible win condition here for Machi. As again, if Machi are able to claim that, PK is just going to be an unstoppable front line that no one will be able to deal with, even before it even happens. We do see the double Drowsy coming on in. Root comes out from Unified. Mission looking to push down into this river, can easily ball PK. You can easily see a dive come out here from Machi. It just feels like this team fight execution is easier. Bruce, arrow comes out right when I say team fight execution. Ends up just going through the poles. Tank, though, alongside River, trying to get some poke down, trying to get some Drowsies as the Dragon is spawned by PSG.
Koala's a little low and Bruce is a little far away, but Machi's still going to fight this. Look at Tank!
Look at that, though. Tank is able to get that damage down onto Mission for PSG. There's an opportunity. Shockwave is going to land, though, as you saw Koala looking for the rotation. But Machi, they were able to steal away the Dragon. And you can see the support staff, the coaching staff, they are living the dream right now, but we'll see how long that lasts. Is now Unified, able to take down
Gemini!
the kill. Gemini, he just body blocks the shots. In comes the death sentence from Kaiwing, able to steal back the kill. Mission down to a sliver of health. Bruce now going to go ahead and get injected themselves with that shielding.
Bruce!
Able to flash in, and now Kaiwing has to start running as Bruce is just going to get carried through on this Ashe. Gets the hook down. Unified looking to turn it back, but it was all a damn bait as Bruce steps up in the final.
Kaiwing goes over the wall to try and throw out the lantern, but the arrow comes back up. Essence Reaver build, the CDR is there, the prolonged fight is there, and Machi are here to play, stealing the Drake, stealing the fight, and potentially stealing this series with a 3-0.
And Gemini able to walk into the pit. And it looks promising here for PSG. Unfortunately for Unified, Kern call. Well, if Gemini is just sitting point blank in front of you, unfortunately there's nothing that this poor Jin can really do. Gets chunked out immediately. They try and turn it back. Of all things too, Kaiwing got the shutdown from this Graves. Would have loved to see that on Hanabi or Unified. And it gets to this where, sure, Mission barely has any health, but Bruce is still fully livid. And like you mentioned, look at the cooldown on that arrow. It comes up just now.
Yeah, the reason why PSG's bot split there was so that they could lantern out the Jhin, but unfortunately, with all that burst, all that stun, not to be found. I actually really like the Bruce pork shot on top of himself so he could see where Hanabi was in the bush as well. And just the confidence there coming through from a player that had to get benched during Friday's series just 2 days ago because he was just kind of mentally out of it when it came to closing the gap between him and his counterpart. He is thriving right now alongside the rest of Machi.
So now 6-13 in favor of Machi. 2.5 minutes until we get our 4th dragon of the game. And like I mentioned, for Machi, you're able to secure this, and that very much may be the nail in the coffin for PSG and their hopes of trying to turn back this series.
Definitely could see that as being the end of the game. 2 minutes on the Mountain Soul. Baron up. So many options available, and yet because of the nature of PSG's pick composition, you can still bank on them finding that miracle. If they pick Orianna off, if they find Ashe, either of those are good targets to knock down. You just have to be super conscious of what is Hanabi doing right now. He is not very big. He is not able to do this.
Hanabi, again, isn't a whole lot of things at the moment. He's able to sidestep away from the Stormbringer, but there you are. PK able to get himself on the board, and it is very much a top difference as PK does a little jig. Once more, here we go though. Can we get a turnaround coming out from PSG? Able to land the second time, double bubble. We'll see if River actually tries to go in. Shockwave, not gonna land. Is River able to get that Shockwave off? Get the stopwatch.
Gemini.
In comes the arrow though. Comes from Bruce from mid lane. And that snipes Tank. Luckily for Tank, he did get a cleanse picked up off the ground. Is able to get himself back to safety.
And I did have my reservations here about that hard commitment from Machi. Not only were they outnumbered with 2 of their biggest members still in mid, but Orianna out of mana, Shockwave, Hourglass. It was not a good fight for them, and yet they still managed to turn it through their sheer lead. Hanabi again just getting caught. It's really rough. I feel for him. He needs gold. He needs farm. He needs that isolated 1v1 where Renekton will thrive, but his team doesn't play through him, doesn't do anything to set this Renekton up, and scrambling for relevancy is this top laner of PSG as the rest of the map crumbles not only around him, but alongside him.
And now starting to feel a bit dire here for PSG. If you are a fan of this org, they were able to take home the Spring Championship. They were able to take home the trophy come MSS.
Oh.
And Bruce, again, looking for field goals himself possibly, is going to get tagged out here though. Instantly has to cleanse away actually. If he picked up a QSS already, still has cleanse in his summoners. Meanwhile though, Gemini is already started up onto this dragon. PSG have to know that this is happening. Hanabi just jumps into the pit. Hanabi, there's nothing you can do. There you go. Mountain Soul secured. And now what can PSG do when the front line is already too tanking? Kaiwing gets caught out. Bruce is on a rampage. Unified gets taken out. And Mission Shockwave lands on target once more. And PSG, we said nail in the coffin if this Mountain Soul was secured. What happens when Baron is also added to the list?
Jin, single target, focusing Volibear down. Zoe, focusing Volibear down. Exhaust on the Volibear, who is disengaging. What? What? PSG are not going to get away with this internationally at all.
And for Machi, we are seeing them execute rather well, able to punish their opponents. PSG have given them multiple openings during this series. And this has always been Machi coming back. The fact that PK gets away with just being here.
Look at PK. He even gets exhausted. Oh, by tank, to be fair. Okay, still. Really gross. Like, what? How's a field day? Okay. Insanely fed Volibear that we criticized for being too tanky is in fact too tanky.
Also has a righteous glory, so you're never going to be able to run away from this Volibear at any point during this game, even with exhaust.
Yeah, Unified actually flashed there, by the way, so literally a sitting duck next time this happens, unless Kaiwin gets the most clutch lantern we've seen all game long.
You need a massive lantern. You need a miracle. You need a DC if you're a PSG player right now, because honestly, Machi at this point, I do not see them letting go this game. Letting PSG come back, because it comes down to, is there any comeback mechanics in this team composition? You needed a Renekton that needed to get ahead. A Lilia is only oppressive if she is ahead, and right now, at best, she is even. And Tank has not been able to excel, and that current call does nothing. And yet they get caught out once more, and unfortunately there, sure you get into the back line, but PK is waiting for you once more with Gemini by his side. And Machi Esports now looking toward the base of PSG Talon. Machi, a team, a roster, a support staff without an organization at the start of spring. Bring it back and find the 3-0 over the rivals of PSG Talon and take home first seed to Worlds to represent the PCS on the international stage.
And Worlds is where everybody is looking right now, but you cannot discount the fact this team takes home the trophy after a tumultuous split that saw them enter playoffs as 4th seed, the bottom member of our big four, of our top four, of our 4-horse race. They make it in from the outside of it all, and they take it home.
Wow. I think it kind of comes back to Cha, you even mentioned here, the start of that game already looked pretty doomed there for PSG. We mentioned that draft, it only really had one way to go. And this is a consistent issue we have seen for PSG every damn time. I don't know who has to tell it to them. I don't know who you have to yell at on this team. But you can't play through Hanabi top. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, the way PSG play the game is like it's like academy team, you know. They have very bad draft today. All 3 games they were trashed by Machi. To be honest, all 3 games the draft was won by Machi in a big margin. Like we look at the draft and we roughly know, oh, Machi is gonna win. You know, look at the mid matchup. Zoe early picking Zoe when so many other mids is open. You're just gonna get wrecked. We saw how he died every team fight. He's the first to die every team fight. And that's not how you play the mid lane.
I mean, in PSG's defense, coming out of game 1, we did say, okay, maybe they have the edge here as long as they play correctly with the Camille in side lane and don't opt into the mindless 5v5s. After watching them randomly run it down in said 5v5s, we then said, okay, maybe actually Machi do have a bit of a difference when it comes to leaving the draft phase. Whoever drafts the easier to execute 5v5 comp wins by default here, and that is kind of troubling for me when it comes to thinking about both these teams at Worlds, because if you only play one style, you're going to get exposed.
And it reminds me a lot of what we had during like our first week of playoffs with Zergoth coming in and saying, you know what, he would just like to see teams draft for what they wish there. But Machi Esports going to be taking home the trophy, and by the way, you need all 5 members. That trophy is damn heavy. If you take a look on that
Did you
final,
touch it?
It scratched the table pretty good, Abridge. It weighs a ton. But Machi, they got themselves the carries they needed, and they're able to take home the victory here over PSG Talon. And what a way to. This is a matchup that historically goes the distance, always to game 5. But not the case here, and it cements Machi as the top team from the region heading into Worlds.
Yeah, I really am concerned for PSG now, because the kind of tilt you get from that series is something they absolutely need to bounce back from. Yes, they've taken difficult losses before. There's a reason why they entered playoffs as 3rd seed, but at the same time, it's just concerning that